Sangamar of the Daily Star and Daily Express here with the one and only Stephen Wonderboy Thompson. Stephen, how are you today?
Doing good, my friend. Doing good. How about yourself?
I'm as well as one can be in this lockdown situation over in the UK. I think, judging from what I see in the news, that it's a lot more strict than in certain places in America, the lockdown. How is it in Simpsonville, North Carolina for you at this moment in time?
Simpsonville is actually they kind of loosened the grip a little bit for the last 2 months. Everything was shut down. We run a gym back home. We just moved into a 20,000 square foot facility. So it was kind of difficult. So we had to be pretty innovative. We started doing online classes, things like that. But here recently, I think last week, martial arts schools was kind of in a gray area. Governor and the governor's office, they gave us permission to open up as long as we keep the 6 foot distancing. We're following all the guidelines, things like that. No grappling, no sparring, just working technique. So we're back open slowly but surely. We'll get back in the, hopefully get back everything back to normal. So we're working, man.
And how are the kids finding the online classes?
They love it, actually. A lot of parents love it too because they can just do it at home. The things that we were doing for online classes, obviously working, keeping the kids fit, working on the kids' techniques, most of all, working on discipline, with the kids. And that's the big thing that we kind of push because it's easy to get home when you're tired or when you're working out a little bit. 5 minutes in, you're losing your focus, So keeping the kids disciplined and dedicated was a struggle for sure. But now that these kids are allowed back in, we've actually added more class times in to kind of thin. We have about 750 students.
Oh, wow.
So it's kind of difficult to keep them, we didn't want them all to show up at the same time. So we added more classes during the day. So believe it or not, I'm working more than I was before.
Oh, that's good. Well, it's better to be busy than not be busy. And initially, what was the shutdown like in Simpsonville, North Carolina? Were all gyms just closed straight away, or was it a phased process?
Oh yeah, everything was closed for the first 2 months. I mean, nothing was open. Restaurants it was takeout or delivery only. Gyms were closed down, and we were kind of in that, like I said, in that gray area where martial arts schools wasn't on the list. So we went to the governor's office and we got the permission to open 2 weeks ago, but slowly but surely. But it was pretty rough, man. It was. I mean, I would only get in the car and drive to work and drive home. That was it. Shopping was very strict in certain places, but South Carolina we were probably I would say the worst at keeping, the traveling ban that we had, keeping everybody at home. I'm pretty sure we had like a grade F, but now that we're getting everything open and reopening, the state of South Carolina was the state that all the other states were looking at on how to do so. So we got an F, pretty much a grade F on the social distancing and the traveling. There's not a whole lot of people. I mean, compared to other places in like New York, it got hit hard.
Yeah.
A bunch of fighters there. My brother-in-law, included Chris Weidman. He was training out of his basement. Possibly had a fight coming up. So it was very difficult for him to go to the gym. Everything was shut down. So, their laws was definitely more strict than us in South Carolina. So I'm kind of blessed in that. Where everything's starting to open up now. I don't know about the rest of the world. I hear it's still pretty strict over in London, but things are slowly getting back to normal.
And how's your own training being affected by this? Obviously, I mean, sparring partners can't be mixing with people and such. So what have you been doing to stay in shape and to ensure your training doesn't go off track?
Well, I'm a little different than most because my family, who I'm with all the time, we run this. So we would go to the gym. We would go to the gym and do our online classes. But while I was there, I'm still doing mitt work with my pops. Still doing bag work. Literally the gym is my home. I'm there more than I am at the house. So even though it was closed, I had bags there. I had my dad to hold mitts. I had my brother that I could spar with and get a little bit of work in. So for me, we had to modify little things, but it wasn't that bad, compared to other people. Like Chris Weidman was doing his own thing. He was running on the treadmill and doing a little bit of bag work and possibly fight, and that be his training camp. It's pretty tough, But thank goodness I was blessed with having a gym that I could just get in the car and go to and open up myself to get some work in. So it's been different in that I don't have the variety of sparring partners that I used to have. But thank goodness I have a family and my dad who holds mitts for me and a brother that I could, spar and grapple with a little bit, So keeping the skills has been tough, but staying in shape, to be honest with you, and hopefully here pretty soon, be able to fight again. But it's kind of up in the air at this point.
Mm-hmm. And I know I love my father and I love my brother to bits, but being in quarantine with them for 24 hours a day or whatever it might be a bit too much. How are you finding that, constantly being around your father and your brother more so than you would usually?
Well, I'm kind of conditioned for that as well. I'm with my parents and my brother 24/7 anyway, because we all run the gym together. Mm-hmm. But I do get it when it's just them there. Tempers, run pretty high, and you get irritated. You want to slap them around a little bit. They want to slap you around a little bit. But for us, it's we're used to that. We're used to being around each other 24/7. But to be honest with you, I wouldn't have it any other way. Yeah, they irritate me from time to time, but it's good to have a job to where I can spend time with my pops and my family, my mom and my aunt. So it's not a whole lot of people do that. They live on the other side of the world, or the other side of the country, maybe see their parents twice a year. So I've always been pretty observant. My dad's always told me, spend as much time with your family as possible, because you never know where they're going to go. My dad never got to tell his dad goodbye. So I'm blessed in that I'm able to do that for a living.
Mm-hmm. And you touched on fighting there. It's been a few months removed. I think nearly 6 or 7. I can't count off the top of my head. It's since you fought Vicente Luque at UFC 244. It was a flawless performance from yourself. Now, with the benefit in hindsight, how would you rate your performance that night at MSG?
To be honest with you, I'm never satisfied with my performances. I always think that I can improve somehow, in some way. I think I got hit in that fight more than I would have liked. Mm-hmm. It was good to be able to know that I can take a shot and keep going, especially after the Anthony Pettis knockout. Yeah. There's a lot of talk, did Stephen lose his chin, which I don't understand, because that was the first time I've ever been knocked out. I've been hit very hard, but never been knocked out. So with my style and the way I fight, I don't take a ton of damage, So I did get hit more than I would have liked in that fight. But Vicente Luque is no slouch. He was on a 6-fight winning streak. He just fought last weekend and dominated Jotko. So, he's just a tough opponent. And, I give him props for that. And probably one of the hardest heads I've ever had to punch, man. I ended up breaking both my hands in that fight. So which took, a lot of time off for them to heal. I've had several injuries, and this was definitely one of the hardest ones to get over, to be honest with you. It was pretty difficult. It took, months and months for my right hand to get back to normal. There's a lot of tendon damage in there, and had a lot of they wanted to have surgery, but I think if I would have gone that route, I would have been, out for good. So everything's healed up and feeling fine right now. Still doing my physical therapy, but like I said, I never think that I am 100% when I step out. I always feel like there's always something I can improve on. But I think that's what keeps me at the top of the game, and that's the mindset you have to have. I think if you get complacent, if you get comfortable with where you're at, you're not going to improve. Mm-hmm. So even though go ahead. Sorry.
No, carry on. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
I was about to say, even though I'm 37 years old, I got a small window to kind of do what I want to do, and it keeps me pushing forward, knowing that I can improve every day on my striking, wrestling, and jiu-jitsu. So I'm going to do this as long as my body will let me, or when my dad says I'm done.
Mm-hmm. And now we knew that your right hand was broken because we saw it in the post-fight press conference. I mean, it was swelled up like crazy, but we didn't know your left hand it suffered damage. Which hand was the worst of the two?
Definitely my right hand. I ended up breaking my left hand. I hit Vicente with a straight left, which dropped him. I think it was in the first or second round. I dropped him. And then while he was on the ground, I had a hold of his feet, and I shoved his feet out of the way while he was on his back, and I hit him with a right hand directly to his forehead, and I just felt my knuckles sink into my hand at that point. And normally when you're out there, your adrenaline's going, you don't feel a thing. You feel the injuries afterwards. So if you feel it then and there, then it's pretty serious. So yeah, after the fight, I had trouble taking both my gloves off. My right hand definitely took more of the damage though, for sure.
Mm-hmm. And you touched on Vicente's win streak there. He was on a 6-fight win streak. He was one of the dark horses in the welterweight division. Where do you think the win over him has put you in well, not just in terms of the rankings, but in terms of the progression of the division? Because at the moment, the division seems to be tied up now because Usman and Masvidal are meant to be fighting God knows whenever, like whenever the world gets to normal, whenever Fight Island actually finally becomes a thing.
Yeah, I mean, I'm ranked number 5 at this point, and I know anybody that's under me could possibly get a title shot. So I don't know if these guys would want to take a fight with me or not because they're so close, or if anybody falls out. I kind of know, what they're thinking because I've been in their situation before. I don't want to fight somebody who's behind me when I'm this close to the title shot. So at this point, I'll fight whoever. Preferably somebody in the top 5 or top 4. But yeah, we'll see. I mean, that win over Vicente Luque, who was on a 6-fight winning streak, who went 3 rounds with Leon Edwards.
Yeah.
He's a tough cat, good stand-up, good wrestling, good jiu-jitsu, and that's a scary opponent. And he changes every time he steps out there. He evolves, he gets better, and those are the type of guys that are very hard to deal with, to prepare for. So yeah, man, we definitely haven't seen the last of Vicente Luque, but I'm keeping my eyes on the prize, and that's the title shot. Whatever I got to do to get there, I'm down for.
And you say you're keeping your eyes on the prize. Is there a route to a third title shot for you in mind that you have, or is there anyone that you think that a win over will get you that title shot?
Well, anybody in the top 4 now. I mean, I don't think anybody wants to see me and Tyron Woodley again. We fought twice, so I don't think the UFC is interested in that. But possibly Leon Edwards. I don't mind fighting Colby Covington either. And I've already faced George Masvidal. I beat him at Madison Square Garden 2 years ago.
Yeah.
So maybe a rematch with him would possibly get me there. But like I said, these guys that I'm mentioning are so close. Colby Covington's number 1, I think, still. I'm not sure. Then you have Masvidal, then you have Leon Edwards, which to me, I think Leon Edwards should get that over anybody. I mean, he's on a 9-fight winning streak or something like that. Ridiculous.
8, yeah, I think it's 8 or 9.
8. Yeah. Ridiculous numbers, man. But I understand where the UFC is coming from. If it was me, I would have had George Masvidal and Leon Edwards, fight it out because all the beef they had.
Yeah.
But they might be thinking that, hey, Masvidal somehow beats Usman, and then they'll put Edwards and Masvidal together. That would definitely be a money fight for sure. But any one of those 3, I'm down for.
Mm-hmm. And given the landscape of the division, in fact, I'm not too sure if you saw this last. I think it was a couple of weeks ago that Darren Till jokingly said, "Oh, come up to middleweight and fight me." I know you might. I know, obviously. In fact, it's nearly been 2 years since that fight with Darren that you had. I mean, you seem pretty keen on a rematch. Then is that something that you'd entertain, like not just the Darren fight, but a move up in middleweight just to take something different during this time?
Man, to be honest with you, I would never thought about going to 185. I mean, the only time I actually mentioned it is if I got the title and Robert Whittaker was still the champ, because we faced each other before I beat Robert Whittaker. So, but the title has changed. Those guys at that weight, I'm a small welterweight, to be honest with you. I'm not a big welterweight. I walk around about 190. Most guys in this weight class walk around over 200 pounds. And, I regularly, on a regular basis, fight with, spar with Chris Weidman and do a lot of stuff with him. And he throws me around like a little rag doll. So to move up, especially against a wrestler or someone, and facing Darren Till the first time when he didn't make weight, he was a big boy, man. He walked in that cage a lot bigger, and I could feel that. So I'd definitely not move up to 185 for sure. If maybe the UFC comes to me and says, once I'm champion, hey, would you fight Stylebender? I think it would be everybody hits me up about that fight. They would love to see just 2 strikers duke it out, knowing the fight's going to be standing up. But even then, the guy's 6'3", got like close to an 80-inch reach. It would be a fun fight though, for sure. But moving up to 185 at this point, not even in my head.
You touched on the Stylebender of the fight there. I mean, for martial arts purists, that would be a stylistically, no pun intended, obviously, because of Stylebender, that would be a fantastic fight.
Oh, I get that all the time, man. Everybody blows me up on the DMs about it. Hey, man, fight Stephen, fight Stylebender. It would be cool to get, because we're managed by the same management company.
Yeah, of course.
It would be cool to get some training in with him, though, for sure. Maybe video that. Maybe that's how we give them that fight. You know what I mean? Maybe just a sparring session or a training session would be fun. And I love the kid, man. I mean, he's an anime fan, likes to dance. I always told myself that I wasn't doing martial arts, I'd be like a break dancer or something.
Yeah, if you were to set up that sparring sparring thing, you could end it like Rocky 3. You know how they just end the frame between.
There you go.
Apollo Creed. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. That's it right there. That's the money fight.
And you touched on that you're eager to fight right now, but given the current climate and obviously the fact that we don't really know that much about the virus and it's changing at this moment in time, are you comfortable fighting in this climate?
At this point, I'm kind of not. I mean, there's a lot of guys that on the last card, who's a Jacare, got tested positive, his whole team. So you never know what you're going to get, and traveling to these places, it's risky. And I've got a lot of kids that I train, that I spend time with, whose grandparents raised them, so it wouldn't be good for me to, think about myself, just about myself, and come home and give, something to these kids or to these grandparents or whatever. So, I mean, I would love to, but at this point, I'm just kind of staying in shape and we would have to talk about it for sure. I mean, Jacksonville, Florida is not too far from me anyway.
Yeah.
So I could definitely make the drive. But and half the roster in the UFC can't even make it to the U.S. because of the travel ban.
Exactly.
If they make this Fight Island thing happen, though, I mean, that would be something epic to be a part of.
You led on to my next question there. What's your thoughts on Fight Island? It's very Bruce Lee, Enter the Dragon, and as a lifelong martial artist, surely that's something that appeals to you.
Oh, 100%. I mean, who grew up watching Mortal Kombat, right?
Yeah.
That's the thing. Like, that would be an epic event, possibly once in a lifetime thing to be a part of. So I think that would be really cool for sure. I would love to fight on that, and that's July, I believe, if it's even a real thing. Dana says it's happened, but I've talked to some people pretty close to Dana, and they're like, we have no idea. So I know Disney owns a bunch of islands, and they own the ESPN, so maybe that's where they're getting this island thing from.
Yeah.
I don't know.
And an interesting comment that you made before that, you touched on the fact that you're 37, and you said that you'll hang it up when potentially when your dad tells you to. Is retirement something that you've thought of at this moment in time? Because I'm judging from the performance of Vicente Luque, you're looking better than ever.
Thank you. I'm glad you think so. But no, man. Everybody keeps asking me about my. You're 37. You're 37. You're like, aren't you too old for this? I'm like, nah. I do have a small window to kind of do what I want to do. I mean, what, 4 years, 5 years, maybe? Mm-hmm. To some people, that's a short period of time. But I haven't given up on the title yet, and I'm not going to. It's just the fact that I'm seeing these guys fighting older. Was it Glover Teixeira just dominated Anthony Smith, and he's way in his 40s. I mean, look at Yoel Romero. I mean, you got Damian Maia. So like I said, I want to fight as long as my body will let me. But if I'm taking a ton of damage in doing so, me being a fighter, I will always fight. Mm-hmm. It will take somebody else to say, hey, you need to hang it up. And my coach, my dad, has been with me, since day one. If it gets to the point where he's like, you know what, Stephen, you need to think about retiring, then I'll probably hang it up. But that's down the road. That's for sure down the road.
And a final question for me. I've taken up too much of your time already today, which I'm very appreciative of. Is there a message that you want to send to your fans and indeed the rest of the welterweight division?
In my division?
Yes.
A message to them? You ain't seen the last of Stephen Thompson. That's all I gotta say. I'm in the division. Beat one of the top guys in the division. I'm coming for that title. So everybody who stands in my way, you're asking for a hurting. So let them know, baby. Let them know.
All right, Stephen, on that note, I'll end the interview. Thank you very much for your time today. I really do appreciate it. Stay safe and take care.
Yes, sir. Thank you, brother. You have a good one.
Take care.
Bye-bye.